In today's lesson we're going to do some more for operations practice. On the screen are the same 8 examples that I went through with you in the video last week. If you need a reminder of how I calculated any of these questions, I've put the explanations to each of them at the end of this video. So, as with last week, there's a new set of bronze, silver and gold questions. As a warm-up, you need to answer 1 addition, 1 subtraction, 1 multiplication and 1 division question from an appropriate section. Make sure you challenge yourself, and if you're feeling really confident, you might want to answer all of these questions. Please pause the video now and have a go at the appropriate questions. Once you're ready for the answers, simply hit resume. Here are your answers. Please check your work carefully, and if you have made any silly mistakes, just go back and correct them before you move on. So, your final task is to complete this 4 operations crossword. The questions and answers are completely different to the one that you completed last time. Make sure you take your time, show all you're working out, and do not use a calculator to help you. Once you've completed this, take a photo of your work and upload it to Show My Homework so I can see how you've got on. Good luck. As promised, here are the explanations of how to work out each of these questions. So let's begin by looking at the addition questions. If I wanted to work out 38 add 23, I'm going to start off by writing them as a column addition. I begin on the right hand side, I do 8 add 3 which is 11, so I write the units which is 1 underneath that, and I carry 1 over to the next column, which is how I represent the 11. Moving on to the next column, I have 3 add 2 which is 5, plus the extra 1 that I carried over, which gives me 6, and therefore my answer is 61. For the second example, I want to do exactly the same thing, so I have 195 added to 67. Notice how in this question I've aligned the 5 and the 7 together because they're both units. Essentially, because these decimal points would appear at the ends, I want to make sure they're aligned, and that's important for both adding and subtracting questions. I can also add a 0 in front of the 6 here just to make the question a little bit easier to work out. So as before, I'm going to start off with 5 add 7 which is 12, so I put the 2 underneath and carry the 1 over to the next column. I now have 9 add 6 which is 15, plus the extra 1 that I carried over gives me 16, so I write a 6 and carry the 1 over. In the last column I've got 1 add 0 which is 1, plus the extra 1 I've carried over which gives me 2. Therefore my answer is 262. So now let's have a look at the subtraction questions. I want to lay these out in a similar way to what I did the addition. So I've got 93 on top, subtract 47. Because the number on the top is smaller than the number on the bottom, I need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from the 9, and that's going to become 8. This 3 is going to become 13. I can now work out 13 take away 7, which is 6. In my next column, I now have 8 take away 4, which is 4, giving me an answer of 46. Likewise, for the second question, I want to start off with 215 on the top. I can write 73 underneath. Notice again how the numbers are aligned to this right hand side. Again, next to the 7 I can put a 0 to make the question a little bit easier to work out. So I can start off 5 take away 3 would be 2, 1 subtract 7 I need to borrow, so my 2 becomes 1 and the 1 in the previous column becomes 11. I now have 11 take away 7 which is 4 and 1 take away 0 which is 1, meaning my answer is 142. To work out the multiplication questions, I'm going to start off writing it as if it was a column addition or subtraction. So 28 on the top and 3 in line beneath the 8. I need to begin by timesing everything on this top row, so the 8 and the 2, by the 3 beneath it. So 3 times by 8 is 24. I'm going to write that the same way that I did for adding. So I'm going to put a 4 underneath and carry 2 over to the next column. I now need to work out 3 times by 2, which is 6, but again add on the 2 that I've carried over, which gives me 8. That therefore means my answer is 84. Looking at the next multiplication question, it's a little bit more difficult because it's now a 2-digit number times another 2-digit number. I'm going to begin by writing 21 on the top and 41 underneath it, putting a times sign next to both of them. Initially, I'm going to start on the right hand side of the bottom row and I'm going to times everything on the top row by 1. So 1 times 1 gives me 1, 1 times 2 gives me 2. Next, I'm going to move along to this 4. Now I need to recognise that that doesn't actually mean 4, it means 40, as in 41. So what I can do is add a 0 in my second row and now multiply everything by 4, and what that's going to do is make my answer 10 times bigger. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, and they are my two answers. So now I need to add them together. 1 add 0 is 1, 2 add 4 is 6, and there's an 8 on its own, which gives us a final answer of 861. So now looking at the division questions. In order to do a division, I want to use my bus stop method, and as I'm dividing by 4, I'm going to put the number 4 on the outside and 104 on the inside, as that's the number I'm dividing into. Now every number on this inside part of my bus stop needs to be divided by 4. So I start off with 1 divided by 4, which gives me 0 remainder 1. So on the top I put 0 and I carry the remainder onto the next number along. So now I have 10 divided by 4. 10 divided by 4 is 2 remainder 2. So again I put 2 on the top and carry the remainder of 2 on, which means my last number is now 24. If I do 24 divided by 4, I get 6, and therefore my final answer, you can see at the top here, is 26. I want to do the same thing for my second example. So on the outside I want a 5, the number I'm dividing by, and on the inside I need to put 215. I begin by doing 2 divided by 5, which is 0 remainder 2. So on the top I put 0 and carry the remainder of 2 on. I now have 21 divided by 5, that is 4 remainder 1. So I put a 4 at the top and I carry 1 on. My last number is now 15, so I do 15 divided by 5, which is 3. Therefore my final answer, as you can see on the top, is 43. Just remember, for the times and divide questions, you can use a times table grid to help you get your answers. You should refrain from using a calculator other than to check your work. If you are struggling to complete some of the work from today's lesson, then please do not hesitate to get in touch via comment on Show My Homework. I'll try to make myself as available as possible and get a reply to you as quickly as I can. If the issue requires a little bit more input from myself, I might ask to arrange a time to meet on Teams where I can give you some personalised help with that specific problem.